Today, we're diving into a city that's facing not one, but two environmental emergencies at the exact same time. We're talking about Delhi. The city is literally choking on toxic air, while its lifeline, the Yamuna River, is dying from pollution. So let's break down how this happened, and more importantly, what it would actually take to fix it.
You know, it's this huge paradox that has stumped people for decades. Billions have been poured into this fight, countless action plans have been launched, and yet the crisis just seems to get worse. So the real question is, what are we missing? What's the actual reason all these efforts keep falling flat? To really get a grip on how bad this is, let's just start with the air we breathe. Delhi's annual average of PM 2.5, that really tiny, dangerous particulate matter, is a staggering 20 times higher than the safe limit set by the World Health Organization. 20 times.
And then you've got the water. The pollution in the Yamuna River is measured by something called biochemical oxygen demand. It's basically just a test that tells you how much gunk is in the water. Well, that level is more than 5 times the safe limit. It's created a full-blown ecological disaster right in the heart of the capital.
So you see, we're dealing with this double whammy. This isn't just about some hazy skies in the winter or a river that looks a little dirty. These two problems are deeply connected, and together they're creating a massive public health emergency.
This slide really connects the dots between the numbers and the real-world harm. I mean, look at this. Air pollution is hitting 100 micrograms per cubic meter when the guideline is just 5. River pollution is over 16 milligrams per liter when it should be under 3. And this isn't just data on a chart. This translates to nearly 200,000 cases of acute respiratory illness in just 3 years. And if that wasn't bad enough, the pollution is literally seeping underground, poisoning the city's groundwater with lead and even uranium.
Okay, so where is all this pollution actually coming from? Well, the immediate culprits are pretty well known, and they form this really complex web of urban and regional problems.
For the air, it's a whole cocktail. Vehicle emissions, and get this, Delhi has over half the vehicles in the entire region, plus construction dust, industry, and of course that seasonal crop burning. But for the river, one source just dwarfs everything else. A shocking 85% of the pollution comes from untreated domestic sewage flowing right into the Yamuna.
But here's the thing, and this is really the key to the whole story. Knowing the sources isn't the problem. We've known about them for years. The real story, the reason for decades of failure, goes so much deeper than that.
This quote just nails it. It's not about a lack of money. It's not about a lack of technology. It's about infrastructure without governance. We've been building all this stuff, really expensive stuff, without having the systems in place to actually make any of it work.
The Yamuna Action Plan is the perfect case study here. It started way back in 1993. Over the next 25 years, almost 7,000 crore rupees were spent. And the result? By 2023, the river's water quality showed no significant improvement. It is the absolute definition of spending without results.
And this chart, it just lays that failure bare. The goal for clean water is a pollution level of 3 or less. The reality, year after year, is an average that's consistently above 10. All that investment, all those plans, and the gap between the goal and reality is still just massive.
So why? Why did the plan fail so badly? Well, it really boils down to this dual failure of the sewage system. First, you have a collection failure. The treatment plants we built, they're only running at 75% capacity because huge parts of the city aren't even connected to the sewer network. Then you have a compliance failure. Even the water that does get treated often fails to meet modern standards because the plants themselves are just obsolete. So we're not collecting all the sewage and we're not properly cleaning what we do manage to collect.
Okay, it's a pretty grim picture, I know. But what if I told you there's a proven model for success out there? A blueprint that focuses not just on building more stuff, but on fixing the real problem: governance. Let's talk about Beijing for a second. After facing its own air apocalypse, the city declared an all-out war on pollution. But its secret weapon wasn't some new filter or fancy technology, it was accountability. China literally tied the careers of its officials directly to environmental targets. If you failed to clean the air in your district, you could be out of a job. Simple as that.
And the results? I mean, they were absolutely stunning. By putting governance and accountability first, Beijing managed to cut its deadly PM 2.5 pollution by over 64%. This just proves that with the right political framework, huge transformative change is actually possible. So, the big question is, can something like this be done in Delhi? Well,
A new proposal, the Delhi Environmental Restoration Plan, or DERP, lays out a really clear three-step strategy that learns from all these past failures.
The plan is broken down into phases. It kicks off with immediate crisis management to basically stop the bleeding. Then it moves into a medium-term infrastructure overhaul, and finally, it tackles the long-term structural reforms that are needed for any kind of sustainable future.
In the first 18 months, the focus is all on maximizing what we already have. For air quality, that means fully activating the RFID systems we've got to stop polluting non-essential trucks from even entering the city. For water, it's about intercepting every single drop of raw sewage before it hits the river and auditing all the existing treatment plants to force them to comply with the rules.
All right, next up is the medium-term plan, and this is where we really start to transform the infrastructure. For the air, it means cutting through all the red tape to rapidly build 5,000 EV charging stations. For the water, it's a massive job. Upgrade every single sewage treatment plant to meet modern standards and, this is the crucial part, actually finish the job of connecting the entire city to the sewer network.
And finally, we get to the long game, the kind of deep, structural reforms that change the city for good. On the air quality front, this means bringing in a strict, Beijing-style quota system to phase out new gas and diesel cars. For water, it means mandating that the most polluting industries install zero liquid discharge systems, making sure not a single drop of toxic waste escapes into the environment.
But look, none of this, not a single bit of it, works without fixing that core problem we talked about. So the real fix is governance reform. The central air quality body, the CAQM, it needs to be given real teeth, the power to actually prosecute officials who fail. Bureaucratic careers have to be tied to performance, not just how much money they spend. And all environmental data has to be transparent and available in real time. This is the engine that will drive everything else.
So in the end, Delhi's crisis isn't really one of technology or funding or even planning. The solutions are known. The blueprint for what success looks like is right there on the table. The only question left is whether the political will exists to finally make it happen.